One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
A lot of great work at the Treasury this week. One of the crazy things with regards to the Treasury is that when a payment is made, and the computers at the Treasury actually pay about $5 trillion per year, like crazy amounts, there was formerly not a budget code on there. So if a payment was made, you didn't know actually what it was for. It could have been for anything. Yeah. There was a $4 billion COVID fund in the Department of Education, and there was no receipts required, so people could just draw down on it. And when people looked into it, this wasn't us, this was before us, they found that money was being used to rent out Caesar's Palace for parties, rent out stadiums, etc. And so the one change that DOGE made with the Department of Education is we had the simple requirement that if you draw down money, you must first upload a receipt. That was the only change that was made. You must upload your receipt. And upon doing so, yes, nobody drew down any money anymore.
Yes, but we didn't say that we'd check the receipt. You could send a fake receipt. You could send a picture of your dog. Anything. Anything. But as soon as we asked for anything at all, suddenly the requests were like, oh, we don't need it anymore. Huh, that's interesting.
They were renting Caesar's Palace.
Yes. They were like basically partying on the taxpayer money.
Stadiums.
Yes.
Leasing stadiums. For what?
For parties, basically.
For parties.
Yes.
That's a big party.
It's a big party.
You'd think if you were stealing, you'd start small.
They do start small. But then what happens is over the years, so generally the fraud starts out small and they try to hide it. But then year after year, if nobody stops the fraud, it gets more and more brazen. And every year it gets bigger until they're literally renting out stadiums.
What's that, $1 million to rent out a stadium?
Fraud in flagrante delicto, okay?
So, click, is this thing on? Some of you guys heard me cough, but I was doing that so I could check the levels of the mic to make sure everything, I don't know what happened. I was all set to go. I had done my practice run. I had put everything plugged in, hit a button. Didn't have to change the mic, just had to reboot the computer. I think I put too much stress on his computer. And I just bought a new computer. I can't tell you. But in any event, you did not go through a time warp. You did not go through a Mandela effect. You just went through technical difficulties that can happen with a live video. See, that's why a lot of people don't do live videos, because it's absolutely live. And if something happens, or the dog barks, or the bee stings, or whatever, you guys know what that's from, you got to go with it. And I was able to get everything working again, so hopefully everything is fine. So, thank you for coming back. If you were during that misboot and we had to reboot and we're back on. Crazy, crazy stuff. Sometimes all this stuff just doesn't like to talk to each other. But in any event, we're going to go with it. You didn't miss anything. We're starting from scratch, from second one, did it all over again, and we're going to go through a whole bunch of stuff today. Thank you for everybody who texted me, emailed me, direct message, posted on X. We had a wonderful time, too short, with Ashley coming back from the Dominican Republic. Got to sit down and go to a dinner with her and, what battery's flashing? Ugh. I don't know why that battery... Yeah, I hear it. The battery is flashing on the screen. I can't tell you why that is happening, because I don't use a battery. So hopefully the camera won't decide to take a blink right now. But in any event, I'm just going to keep going, because at this point, it is what it is. Just to let you know, I don't use a camera on the battery. The camera is actually plugged into the AC. So if I go poof again, I may have to tear down everything and rewire and find out where the ghost is in this machine. But I do not know why that's showing and blinking, because, again, I have a full power supply. So when I turn on the video, I will check my power supply and make sure everything's connected. I'm not going to do it now while I'm talking to you. So in any event, if we get through today's show, I've got something extremely big to show you. Extremely big. Some of you guys might find it, how I told Ashley, is some people will absolutely love it. Some people will actually absolutely hate it. And then there's a part of people will be like, I don't really care either way. So we'll see what happens. So what we're going to talk about today, as long as the electronics work, and like I say, I'll check my battery once I start this video, is, as many of you know, Elon Musk did an interview with Jesse Waters. And he exposed a whole lot that the media doesn't want you to know about. But I'm going to talk to you about it. I'm going to try and break this down as best we can, and we're going to dig into this and see how outlandish all of this stuff was. So even if you guys have seen this before, I'm going to try and give you a different perspective. So without further ado, let's check this out.
Tonight, our exclusive look into DOGE. Elon Musk was nice enough to invite us into the Eisenhower building last night to sit in on his weekly 10 p.m. DOGE meeting. Yeah, they usually meet at 10 o'clock. I'm almost in bed by then. We met the whole crew, even big balls, and they showed us how DOGE really gets done. We sat back, listened, and we learned a lot, and we hope you do too.
Well, I guess we normally go around the table, say what do we get done this week?
Want to go this way?
Sure. No, we start with you.
Sure. So actually, a lot of great work at the Treasury this week. One of the crazy things with regards to the Treasury is that when a payment is made, and the computers at the Treasury actually pay about $5 trillion per year, like crazy amounts, there was formerly not a budget code on there. So if a payment was made, you didn't know actually what it was for. It could have been for anything.
Yeah.
There was a $4 billion COVID fund in the Department of Education, and there was no receipts required, so people could just draw down on it. And when people looked into it, this wasn't us, this was before us, they found that money was being used to rent out Caesar's Palace for parties, rent out stadiums, etc. And so the one change that DOGE made with the Department of Education is we had the simple requirement that if you draw down money, you must first upload a receipt.
You see, one of the things that bothered me about this, I don't know if you guys thought about that, but they saw the entry for the $1 million party. And I don't know if they had the ability to go back and look and see what happened, if they can contact Caesar's Palace, get a receipt for that party, because I've been involved in a lot of parties, all the way back to the time I was in a fraternity. And I've thrown probably between concerts and festivals, probably 1,000 different festivals, concerts, different entertainment events. I'm not sure if you realize how hard it is to spend $1 million on one event. Now, if you're going to cut a check to Beyonce, that'd be very easy. You're going to spend $1 million. If you're going to cut a check to, back then, Michael Jackson, you're going to spend $1 million. So I would love to see, and I want you guys to start thinking, how hard it would have been to spend $1 million on a party. How many people showed up? What were they given? Was it pizza? Was it pizza with sauce? If some of you guys might understand what I'm saying. But nobody's talking about that. It's easy to look at a ledger, and the ledger says $1 million was spent at Caesar's Palace, but has anybody contacted Caesar's Palace to say, do you have any of these receipts? DOGE probably can't do that. DOGE probably doesn't have the ability or the right to do that. That would have to be something that Kash Patel and Pam Bondi would begin digging in on. Something's really wrong there. $1 million on a party, unless it was paid to some big, huge entertainer, and they just wrote a check for $800,000 to Beyonce, and then just had pizza for the rest of the evening, but we don't know. So it's bad enough that they're blowing your money. It is monumentally bad that they're blowing your money. Now the other side of the coin is, what did they blow the money on? See, that there's two sides of this, and now unfortunately the other side, it falls on Pam Bondi. It falls on Kash Patel. With everything else they're doing, somebody needs to go back and say, where'd this money go?
The only change that was made, you must upload your receipt. And upon doing so,
Yes.
nobody drew down any money anymore.
Yes, but we didn't say that we'd check the receipt. You could send a fake receipt. You could send a picture of your dog. Anything. Anything. But as soon as we asked for anything at all, suddenly the requests were like, oh, we don't need it anymore. Huh, that's interesting.
They were renting Caesar's Palace.
Yes, they were like basically partying on the taxpayer money.
Stadiums.
Yes.
Leasing stadiums.
Leasing stadiums.
For what?
No,
parties,
I can't buy that. If I'm leasing a stadium, Taylor Swift better be on stage for $1 million. And yes, everybody, I know that red light's blinking. I have no idea what it is, but I can't stop right now. I got to go with this. Having some electrical problems, we'll see what happens. But in any event, a stadium doesn't disappear. They should be able to go back to that stadium and say, who played in this stadium on this date that you spent $1 million? When I was doing concerts, I could tell you to the date, to the dime, I had to account for every single thing. Most of the times the entertainers would want to know to make sure that the accounting was right, that you weren't selling tickets out the back door. How the hell do you spend $1 million on a stadium and not know where the money was?
Parties.
Yes.
That's a big party.
It's a big party.
You'd think if you were stealing, you'd start small.
They do start small. But then what happens is over the years, so generally the fraud starts out small and they try to hide it. But then year after year, if nobody stops the fraud, it gets more and more brazen. And every year it gets bigger until they're literally renting out stadiums. What's
that, $1 million to rent out a stadium?
Fraud in flagrante delicto, okay? We're talking at scale.
This is driving me crazy.
Oh, yeah.
When you find these things, do you guys get mad? You're like, yes, I got one. How does it make you feel?
It's so common.
It's so common.
I
mean, you just
get so numb to it.
Unfortunately, by the 100th time you've heard it, it's hard not to get a little numb.
Yeah.
You know, but and by the 200th time, you're like, well, okay, it's just another day at the office.
We checked.
What? Did you catch what he just said? I know when you're watching it at home and your child's talking to you or your dog's barking or something's happening. Did you hear what he just said? 200 times. Like, we're just, which one? There's so many of these things. We caught all this stuff. And notice, until they held this interview, nobody knew about it. Nobody in the media even put a breath out about it. And then after it aired, crickets, nothing. Nobody wants to talk about this, even on the right. Why isn't that every senator and congressperson stamping their feet and going, what the hell happened here? Where are all these giant parties? Why wasn't I invited? Who was invited to these parties? People must know. There's 100 senators and 400 plus people in Congress, so there's 500 people. A stadium? Let that sink in. Hundreds of times? Someone's not paying attention. Somebody let that just wash over them, and hopefully it wasn't Pam Bondi and Kash Patel. My job pointed out to you the ludicrousness of this. If there's only 500 people, let's say every single one of them brought their spouse if they have one. So now you're talking 1,000. And then they brought like everyone in their family. So let's put it times 10. There's 10,000 there. You see, this is crazy. And those people couldn't be invisible. Somebody had to see the stadium.
Is the Small Business Administration giving loans to dead people over the age of 120? The answer was yes, and it was around $330 million in total. So
people with a birthday that could not possibly be real.
Yeah.
Meaning they're over 100. They're 115 years old or older. The oldest living American is 114. So it's safe to say if anybody is in the system as 115 years or older, that is fake.
So just by sharing a database and looking at Social Security numbers that showed that at the time of the loan, they had listed as over 115 years old, or actually under 11. We didn't even check for under 18.
Babies and dead
under 11 years old. That's pretty clear.
Babies
right?
and dead people were getting loans.
That was $660 million.
Yeah, and also people with birth dates in the future.
What does that mean?
Well, in one, I think the birth date. I think in one case was like
Fetuses were getting
no,
loans.
not even. No, really, sort of you're talking about like your great grandchildren, like with the birth date, like of, I think it was like 2165. So more than a century from now was the birth date.
George Jetson was getting paid.
Yes, because your birthday is in the future, like the far future, not like next year.
Right.
And this is either fraudulent or we have your birthday wrong.
It's either a typo or someone stealing.
Which is it? Yes.
Right.
Yes. You should at least ask, which is it?
Do you guys feel you're getting justice and accountability?
One of the, I think, extreme examples of non-accountability in some cases has occurred as
If you can't really, I'm looking in the comments and it's like driving me crazy because people are like, we don't want to hear about your experience. And I'm like, if you've never done a festival or a concert or a stadium event, how do you know how to relate what the costs are for an event like this? My experience is based upon my background of promoting major size festivals, and I can tell you how much something costs. And I don't understand when people just like, don't tell us about what you're talking about. Well, that's exactly the problem. That's exactly the problem people are having. It is so easy for people to just let this wash over them that they're not even understanding this is impossible. You have been stolen from on an epic scale, and people are like, I don't need to hear what the money was spent on. Oh, hell yes, we do. When's the last time you spent $1 million in one night? Raise your hand and say in the chat if you spent $1 million in one night. I have. I have spent $1 million in one night. And now it wasn't to me. It was to pay entertainers, it was to rent security, police, fire chief and the fire squad, EMTs, food vendors, parking attendants. Yes, and then of course the talent. So I'm telling you from experience, because that experience should be valuable to know it's impossible to spend that without anybody knowing it. Wow, people.
The small agencies. I think the Inter-American Foundation, IAF, is one of the agencies we visited where, they get $50 million a year, congressional money, to give grants. These are things like, alpaca farming in Peru, improving
That's a real example.
Yes, that's the real description. Improving the marketability of peas in Guatemala.
Really?
Fruit jam. And yes.
What? Yeah.
So you might expect, in the private sector, a nonprofit to give, 80 to 90% of their money to grantees. In the case of IAF, that was 58%. So the other half goes towards management, travel.
What we're find exactly, to Ethan's example is that even if you agreed with supporting alpaca farmers in Peru, actually most of the money never made it out of D.C. Mm-hmm. It's going into the pockets of people in the neighborhood.
What percentage?
It didn't even get to Peru.
Right. So what percentage do you think doesn't even get to the destination it's supposed to?
I believe the GAO estimates, so this is not our estimate, I believe it was on the order of only 10 to 15 cents on the dollar actually gets to the end recipient, whether you agree with that cause or not.
That alone indicates massive theft. And understand, I don't know how far back these guys went. Who knows how long this has been going on? Your tax dollars every single year on April 15th, you write the check. And now you're finding out what the sausage has been made behind the scene, where only 10 to 15% of the money that's supposedly going here or there ever leaves Washington. Well, if it's not in the budget and not in the Treasury Department, where the hell is it? Who got it? Who's taking all this money? Now it gives you some even further background why these people are freaking out about Trump. This has been very, very good for these people for so long, on both sides, Republicans and Democrats. There is no possible way that these people making $175,000 a year or $200,000 a year have amassed wealth of 20, 30, 40, 50 million. They've not produced anything. They've not sold anything. They've done insider trading and they've been politicians. That's it. And whatever has been pilfered here or there. So it's very easy, if there was anyone astute enough to have a DOJ or FBI person, and this is where some of the questions I have is because you're hearing this information. If you walk down the hall and said, hey, you got anybody to assign to all this money because there's some obvious theft here, shouldn't be hard to find. If $1 gazillion went to an alpaca farm, and only 15% of it showed up at the alpaca farm, where the hell is the rest of it? There should be a paper trail. Even if it's got fake names and fake LLCs, something's going on. And the reason why Jesse's pissed and Elon's laughing, because at this point, laughing stops you from crying. Laughing stops you because you're like, I can't even fathom this is going on. This is incredible what's happened with our money. And every April 15th, they want more. And then the Democrats just said, we're not going to do no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. No, we don't want lower taxes at all. Why? Why?
So they're just stealing the money before it even gets anywhere.
There's layers of stealing. So there's the first layer of stealing, second layer of stealing, third layer of stealing.
Subcontractor.
Peeling the onion. Yeah, exactly. Contractor, subcontractor. It's like peeling an onion. And then maybe, and sometimes it's zero. Just flat, you get to the bottom of the onion, there's nothing there.
So maybe no one got a sex change in Guatemala.
It's possible that no one got a sex change in Guatemala.
I overheard a contractor tell one of her colleagues to falsify billable hours by creating a PowerPoint to mask a delay in the onboarding process in front of me. And this is like hour zero at this agency. And so, this is just a common theme that you take a look at these contracts, you take a look at these grants, and it's veiled in noble rhetoric. It's at the top level. It sounds
good.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. And then you actually just follow what is what are the funds actually doing?
Or send us a picture.
Exactly. And
The send us a picture request is incredibly good. Like Pixar, it didn't happen. And then they're like, and it wouldn't be that hard to just, frankly, they could search for some fake pics on the internet or get AI to generate the pics, but they don't even bother doing that.
So you caught them cold billing fraud.
oh, I caught them, her advising her colleague to do this because it takes a few days to onboard.
Yeah, now understand this. There are, 20 gentlemen sitting in this room, and they're all relating stories that they have found out in under 2 months. This is just what a forensic team has done in just a couple months, and nobody wants to talk about it. Why is this not front page news on the New York Times and Washington Post? Well, we know why. They're probably in on it too. There's no way that NBC and some of these networks, news networks, could even be affording to be in business. MSNBC, nobody watches them. And they're paying people like Rachel Maddow $25 million a year. The math doesn't make any sense. Who and what is being funded with all this money? And the way they did it, the way they've put this in place for decades, screws the American people, because most of you don't have a choice to say, I'm not paying my taxes. Most of you are stuck because your employer takes the money out of your paycheck before you can even say anything. You get your paycheck every 2 weeks and it's like it's already deducted. What if you went to him and said, don't do that anymore. don't take that out anymore. What would happen? Well, the HR people would probably implode. They'd probably fire you. Because at this point, there are many companies who weren't paying their payroll taxes. It's just one giant grift that Americans have been getting stiffed on for over and over and over, probably decades. And it's so frustrating because now that you hear it, and these gentlemen are laughing, going, this is ridiculous. And they realize, as they're talking right now, nothing is going to happen. I know you hope. I definitely hope and pray for it. We think President Trump's going to be able to stop it. He's trying to curtail it. But as you're seeing these judges and what they're doing, you have to think to yourself, what the hell's going on? Are these judges on the take? Are they being funded? It's just, people are doing things you wouldn't think they'd be doing for reasons you wouldn't think they'd really die on that hill. These aren't like big things. Yeah, we're going to throw out this newcomer here or that, and you're willing to die on that hill? Why? What is it with all this stuff? And I feel for these guys because they've been absolutely vilified, screamed at, called all kinds of names, and all they're doing is peeling back the onion layers and going, look at this, what I'm finding. And nobody wants to listen. And I'm so happy that Jesse Waters put the microscope on this, but they're going to bury that and it'll never hear from it again. Over and over and over.
Oh, that is being investigated right now.
Yeah, I mean, generally, like these programs, these grants are going to be like along the lines of save the baby pandas. And it's like, well, of course, who wouldn't want to save the baby pandas? And in some cases, they've got a show panda, which they will trot out for special occasions. In a lot of cases, they don't even have a show panda.
No panda.
There's not even one panda. Because we asked for pictures, and we don't even get one panda. And it's like, well, that's a lot of, what does $1 billion get you? Does it not even get you one panda?
You really want to see a baby panda?
Yeah, like the Ebola money. We're like, okay, well, we agree with, we shouldn't have Ebola, Where's the money going? Oh, it's going to Deloitte in D.C. What is an accounting firm doing with Ebola money?
What has been the biggest resistance? Is there one agency? Is there one department that when you guys walk in, they all start fighting you, start hiding things?
Wait, I thought you weren't going to talk.
I'm sorry.
But I guess you can answer that question. Sure. I mean, yes, we've certainly had some battles.
Battles.
Yeah. Who should talk about? You said.
Nate.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So, Jesse, there's an agency, a small agency, United States Institute of Peace. It's definitely the agency we had the most fight at. We actually went into the agency and found that they had loaded guns inside of their headquarters. Institute for Peace.
I mean, any given company, any given organizational name is going to be kind of be the opposite of the title.
Right. Yeah, and so it was by far the least peaceful agency that we've worked with, ironically.
Of course.
Additionally, we found that they were spending money on things like private jets, and they even had a $130,000 contract with a former member of the Taliban. This is real. We don't encounter that at most agencies.
Yeah.
What was the...
When I hear this stuff, what kind of gets me is that I'm being sent in at the request of the President of the United States. The guy who sits in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue told me to come look at this. Which you would think, if your job, wherever it is, somebody said, here, CIO Freddie said for me to come take a look at this. If CEO Freddie or CEO Francesca said, go look at this, here you go. Yeah, you're here on the behest of the CEO. Our CEO sends people in, and he said they've had to battle. I can't even let that part go in. Forget the money. Before you get to the money, I knock on the door. Yeah, Donnie sent me? Oh, no, get out of here. Wait a minute. You work for him. Your boss sent me here. And I don't think enough people understand that part of it. What do you mean you had a battle? You should have went, hey, because here's the thing with it. You guys who have worked at other companies, maybe you had some cash handling responsibilities. Maybe you worked as a waitress or waiter in a restaurant. And if the owner came in and he decided he wanted to look around, it's like, good. You know why? Because it's not your money. Hey, if you want, I could be serving drinks or I could be, taking out trays. But if you want me to stop so you can have a spot check, go ahead. Ain't bothering me. That's his cash register. So the guy who owns the restaurant is sitting at Pennsylvania Avenue and he sends these guys over to please do a spot check. Check the cash register for me. And these guys show up and they want to fight, literally, battle. They don't want to basically just cooperate with the boss's designee. That's your first red flag. It should be just waving. It should be blinking more than the blinking thing on my screen right now. The boss sent me over, and you're like, no, I don't care. The boss doesn't need to see this. Ooh, we got serious problems.
Money going to the Taliban for?
So it was a contractor. They received $130,000 for generic services. And to Elon's point, there was not actually a clear description of what the contractor services were for. But
was it for opium?
Unclear.
Or weapons?
Or nothing.
Or nothing.
or a bribe.
Or, nothing.
And you naturally have to ask the question, well, how did we get here? Like, when the country was founded, there were only 4 agencies. Today, there are over 400. So there's been a 100x increase in the number of agencies since the founding of the nation. And thanks to President Trump, he's now signed 2 executive orders to start to reduce the number of agencies in the government, and the Institute of Peace was one of them, which is why our team went in to try and understand what was going on. And that's when we found all of the craziness, like the weapons in their armory. We found the payments to the Taliban.
Okay.
So
just try to hide the evidence.
Right. So just a few hours after we got into their headquarters, we found that their chief accountant had actually deleted over 1 terabyte of accounting records from several years. So you'd have to ask the question, well, why would somebody do that? The DOGE team, fortunately, was able to recover that data with the help of a few great employees at the Institute of Peace. And I think the most troubling thing was they received $55 million a year from Congress, and any money that went unspent, instead of returning that to Congress, they would sweep it into a private bank account, which had no congressional oversight. And that's what they would use to fund things like events at their headquarters and...
Okay, wait a second. Oh, there's money sitting in a United States government account, and December 31st, or if it's fiscal year, money didn't get spent. So before the new budgetary allocation comes through, these people would move money into a private, non-governmental account. Right there, you should be getting handcuffs. I don't even know how much. I don't need to know where. The fact that you took government money out of a government account and put it in a private account, that should have earned you a trip to some jail someplace right there. You're openly stealing money. And nothing's happened. Nothing. This is why some people are upset with the DOJ, but at the same time, you have to realize they walked in and went, all of this? This is all the stuff that's going on? You got to be kidding me. Where do we start? I need like a boat full of other prosecutors. They're stealing money hand and fist, not allowing you to come in and moving government money into private bank accounts. And you and me got to pay taxes for all this.
Private jets. And so I think it's a great example because most Americans don't know what's going on at a lot of these smaller agencies. And this is, I think, the most extreme case of some of the wasteful spend that we're finding.
So the agencies are hiding money from you. They're sending it to the Taliban. They have loaded weapons in the department buildings.
At the Institute of Peace.
At the Institute of Peace.
Yes.
That's right.
So this is a cover-up when you guys roll in.
This one, yes, a cover-up. Yeah.
It's a cover-up.
They did delete a vast amount of financial information. That's really a definition of a cover-up.
Isn't that illegal to delete evidence?
Yes.
Shred documents?
It is. It's certainly illegal to delete accounting records that that Congress would certainly want to know where the congressionally appropriated funds are going from taxpayers.
When you catch them going Hillary style on their computers, do you refer this to the Department of Justice?
In this case, we did refer the evidence in the accounting example to the FBI and DOJ, and we were proud to do that. So yes, we did.
Resistance has shown up in some very surprising places. So, for example...
Okay, so Jesse didn't touch that. Jesse didn't touch that landmine. Did you report it to the DOJ or the FBI? And Big Ball says, yes, we reported it to the FBI. Next question would be, what the hell's happened? And Jesse didn't touch it. He knows that's a third rail right there. That's something else for people to get pissed at. But they left it in the edit so you could hear it. Yes, we've been reporting this stuff to the DOJ or FBI. Next question, Jesse. Next question that you would have. And when you reported it, what happened? Not my job. I don't know. My job just to look at numbers. I'm a forensic person. I don't enforce law. I can see it was, I can actually see it was stolen. I know it was stolen. So I reported it to the people who enforce theft. You see what I'm saying?
The famous fork in the road email, the deferred resignation program. So this was a program where you could resign from the government, collect pay and benefits for the next 8 months. Probably the most attractive separation program ever in human history. And the resistance actually came from the outside with people saying this is a trick. And I heard somebody refer to it as an apple with a razor blade. And no, this was just a really juicy apple, caramel dipped apple. It was that good, but people were talked out of taking it. And now what started to happen is we did have about 80,000 people take it, and now those folks who did take it are on the beach or they've moved on to a new job and they're still getting paid. And so now we're starting to offer Fork 2 and Fork 3, where people can see that someone's eaten this apple and it was actually really tasty and good for them.
Is DOGE just getting started? This is a long-term enterprise.
It's a long-term enterprise because if we take our eye off the ball, the waste and fraud will come roaring back.
That's stunning. Those of you who have known people who have had cancer, maybe you yourself have had cancer, you understand if you don't get the tumor out, if you don't do the best you can to get that thing out of somebody, there already is going to be a risk that it comes back. But to not do anything about it, it's definitely going to spread. And so they know, and they're just waiting. When's Elon done? When's he done? Because they're just going to do it again. And the reason they're going to do it again is because they can. If the Democrats are in control, what do you think happens with everything that we have found out from the very first thing when we found out that Wally Nigerian was told to pay everybody anytime and don't even question invoices. If you even got an invoice, just pay it on a request. They're going to go right back to it. This is merely a speed bump that they're hoping to get over. So unless President Trump succeeds on all these different levels, we're screwed. There is no hope for America if President Trump isn't allowed to get done what he needs to get done. Because I don't even know how far down the priority list is to get to the stuff that these people have found. Because every single department, whether it be Tulsi Gabbard or Pete, they're all finding him like, oh my gosh, this is insane. It is one big grift all the way around.
DOGE, when Democrats get back in power.
Yeah. Well, I think some of the things that, like, we're trying to have it be such that the funding is removed, so the grants are gone. So there's a lot of work required to restart the waste and fraud, and that will at least slow it down.
We heard about a cave. We had federal workers working in a cave.
That's me.
Yeah.
Are they still?
Joe's actually been to the cave. Do you want to tell us about your cave? Your caving?
I wouldn't mind you.
You're spelunking.
So I've been helping out with retirement. And a few weeks ago, I had a chance to go to the mine. And so I took a golf cart through security down into the side of a mountain and entered, daylight left, and I entered this whole space of caverns and roads. And we get to a metal door, and I open it up. And there in front of me is a sea of filing cabinets from the 1960s. And I'm walking around. It's super chilly. Smells like paper. And I realize as a mine, it's a great mine. It's secure. It's well lit, temperature controlled. And so the question we're asking is not, is this a good place to store physical media, which it is. It's amazing for that. The question is, why are we still using paper in 2025? So I brought something to show you of what's inside the mine.
It normally, the normal process for retirement it'll be over 6 months. So once you file your retirement papers, that's why it takes 6 months.
What is that?
So these are replica case folders that people use to retire from the government. And so these are all compiled by hand and moved around on carts through the mine. It takes many months to do that. And this one is a single retiree's paper required to leave the government.
If somebody wants to retire, they can't because it takes 6 months to compile the paper and carry the paper into a mine where it is stored. And also, all the calculations are done by hand.
See, when you watch that, maybe one of the things that pops in your head is, why are they using paper? I mean, it's 2025. We all walk around with computers and phones and everything else, and we've got all kinds of electronics to do things. Why are you storing all this in paper? And I thought about it, and I think, why would you want to do that? One, you can see how hard it is to go find all this stuff. Two, and this is probably the bigger reason, is until DOGE started looking, how many of you even knew there was a cave? An underground facility where they were keeping all this stuff hidden. See, so that's a whole nefarious thing as well. Why has all this stuff not been converted to electronic, use? That you can pull up Jim Smith. Oh, he worked here for this long a period of time. Can we send him his retirement? No, they want everything in paper in some mine somewhere. Doesn't make any sense.
Everything has to be
2025.
Reconciled, adjudicated. This is thicker than the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Yeah. And if I had to process this, I would rather do my taxes in the dark than have to go through this. And so what we're doing is we're bringing this process online with modern software. And I'm excited to share that as of tonight, we have 25 retirees going through an entirely online retirement process in the government for the very first time.
It sounds so simple.
Yes, and it's great collaboration with retirement services inside OPM. So this has always been their dream, and we're just here to help accelerate it.
That's a pretty fat stack. Was that Kissinger's?
Oh no, the record is almost several shopping carts.
There's a whole pallet for one retiree with 27 boxes of paper on it.
For one guy.
That's the record.
I've seen it with my own eyes.
Yeah. I mean,
You see, the idea behind this, in my estimation, is that if you came looking for information and you wanted to, hey, listen, we want to check this out, and they rolled out a pallet in front of you, you're telling me I got to go sifting through all this? I can't scan it. I can't do anything electronically and do a quick search, have Grok summarize it. Hey, where did this guy work in 1978? Nope, you got to go. One person's file is a pallet worth of paper. This government is so inefficient that it's inefficient on purpose. It just slows everything down to make it almost impossible to trace things. And it's got to be intentional, because there's no reason to have an underground mine, because everything in that mine could probably fit on a couple disk drives, a couple good terabytes of disk drives.
And it also frees up people, because we shouldn't have over 1,000 people carrying paper into a mine. That is not a good use of people's lives. So there are many other things that they could do that would be far more productive than carrying paper into a mine.
If you were to say, we have iPhones, does the government have payphones? Like, how prehistoric is this technology?
Oh yes, it's very prehistoric.
It's very prehistoric.
It's like Flintstones.
It's Flintstone level stuff.
It's so prehistoric. Like dinosaurs would think this is, kind of old.
Hey, what I'm laughing at is because I know there's a lot of people who feel, it's better because you got a paper record instead of, electronics, like my microphone and my camera blinking right now. Electronics fail. Wrong. You have redundancies. You have all kinds of fail-safes. If one thing goes down, you have another. I was hoping I didn't have to rewire before, I got the show going, but it's not like I'm sitting here with just one mic. I have like 4 or 5 microphones. I have 2 or 3 cameras. I have lights everywhere. If one goes down, you have another or 2 or 3. So it's not that electronics are going to fail. We know they're going to fail. Within my purview, sitting right here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 computers within an arm's length. 4. And I'm not the federal government. And so I know if I need medical records on the dogs, where I need to go, pull it up. And I also know, because I have Google Drive and I can push stuff up there as backups. And I know if Google fails, then I have another backup on top of that. So I wouldn't worry like some people are about electronic failing. It may slow you down for an hour, but it's not going to be the same as going to look at a pallet full of crap that might take you a year to go through. Something happens, you should have redundancy that should allow you to get back up and running with like an hour. And if everything failed, if it all didn't work, there are stores where you can get a new one in about 90 minutes and have it all hooked up. So this is a laughing matter because you laugh because you don't want to cry.
That's how prehistoric it is.
Okay. So
basically the only thing living was a sponge. That's how prehistoric it was.
Okay, so we're leaving the Stone Age and we're moving into the Golden Age.
Pre-Cambrian era is what we're talking about.
Okay. There was a story I heard about mules. There were mules delivering mail to the bottom of the Grand Canyon.
Which might not be a bad thing, actually.
You have the mule picture.
Yeah.
Picture, it doesn't exist.
Right. Yeah. But this is a case where actually it might not. I think. Do we agree with the mule, or should there be mules?
I think it can be modernized.
If there's opportunity for improvement.
Yes. Right.
Okay.
Right. I'm at the Postal Service. I think a lot of people don't realize that there's actually a law that says that the post office is supposed to like have a balanced budget.
There is?
Yeah, there is.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's not working, is it?
No, it's not.
So they're breaking the law.
They're breaking the law.
Okay.
Basically, since 2007, almost every year since 2007, they've lost money. So you might ask, like, what happened in 2007? So
Yeah.
there was
What happened in
additional
2007?
Yeah, there was additional regulation
Okay.
that went into place that essentially crippled them and put them down this like not good path where they essentially are stuck in the past as well as bleeding money left and right.
Okay.
So like it's great and we appreciate that the postal employees are willing to go to the hardest parts like in this country. But we think that we can modernize it and help them become profitable. Right now, last year they lost $9.5 billion.
Wow.
Yeah.
Serious money.
Who's
So-
big balls?
Big.
That should be obvious.
Why do they call you big balls?
I just said it as my LinkedIn username.
Okay.
Well, people on LinkedIn take themselves like super seriously, and they're pretty
do.
adverse to risk. And I was like, well, I want to be neither of those things. So I said it, and honestly, I didn't even think anyone would notice.
Yeah.
So what do you
LinkedIn
do?
is so cringe.
What does big balls do?
Right now, I'm working on some payment computer stuff. So one of our initiatives is to root out fraud and waste. And to do that, we started looking at the payment computers. And as mentioned earlier, like there is no accounting of what payments actually go to in the payment computer. So like you look at a specific line item, like $20 million. And you're like, okay, well, what is this money going to? And for the majority of payment systems, it's like, well, we don't really know. And
Yeah, like, what? That would be the response.
Is this the most basic responses?
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the most common response.
What do you say when people just say, I don't know?
Well, it's a huge cause for concern because like the upstream thing, which is distributing the money, literally has no checks and no accountability to the actual American taxpayer. So it's a huge vector for fraud, waste, and abuse.
Do these people
Okay. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with the whole story about big balls, this was the kid that obviously sits in on this panel. He knows his stuff. He knows what he's doing. And this was what they tried to make fun of for so long. All the people in the media, oh, big balls, big balls, big balls. And it was like a joke to them. Because as you're hearing, this kid could run circles around them. And this kid has dug into these circles and found out all these people are crooks. That's why they make fun of him. Because they have to belittle him, because by belittling him, they're trying to basically denigrate the data that he has been able to uncover.
respect taxpayer money?
I mean, there's no incentive to if you work in the government. I think the incentives will always decide the outcomes.
Yes.
Do you guys feel like you're putting yourself at risk by doing this because you're stirring up so much hostility by these people ripping us off?
100%. Well, we don't need to speculate about that. You can see online in the protests that they make that very clear. I mean, I've been hanged in effigy many times. And there have been people that have actively advocated at these violent protests for my death, and have also advocated for the death of the people at DOGE.
Now that you've seen this, we have a few minutes left to watch this, about 4 minutes. I want you to start thinking to yourself, all the protests you've seen all over the country. Everybody who's out there screaming and acting like they're nuts. What exactly are you screaming about? Do you realize at this point who you're covering for? You're out there holding signs like it's the end of the world and Elon and these guys are doing something to you. Just exactly, if you ever watch this, any of you nuts, tell me what Elon and his team is doing to you. Remember, Elon and these guys can't even put anybody in jail. They can't stop this or that from happening without above approval from one of the secretaries, whether it be Secretary of Commerce, Secretary of Defense, whatever. They're data miners. They are forensic guys. They're saying, hey, look what I found. You might want to do something about this. It's like calling, an inspector into your home and you find out you've got a gnawed hole in the corner and, this is where the mice or whatever can get in. You might want to fix that. I don't fix it. I just did the inspection. I can tell you who to call, but you got a hole. And what the American public realizes, you got a big ass hole, a giant hole. And we need someone to fix this hole, but it's not these guys, but these are the guys who are getting blamed and getting death threats because they found the hole. And I just wonder myself, even when I did the man on the street thing and went down, like, you guys have no idea what you're talking about. You're brain dead zombies who have been, somehow motivated to come out and do these protests. And I mean, even the one guy who stuck his hand up his butt and wiped his own poop on a car. I mean, we're not talking normal here, because I would, hey, excuse me. No, I don't want to shake your hand. No, you just stay there, bro. Why did you get so upset that you had to stick your hands up your butt, pull out some stuff, which in itself is a problem, and then wipe it on a car? What happened up here that made you think, never mind Elon, that someone who owns this car is the bane of your existence? This person who bought this $175,000 vehicle from their own hard work is someone you need to hate. Especially when you think to yourself, oh, Elon's already gotten paid for these cars out here. And some of these people aren't even Elon supporters. They like the vehicle. The cars we drive, I don't know the CEO. We like the cars. And you're not hurting Elon. This guy bought a $175,000 truck, and you're wiping your poop on his truck. Can you tell me, without getting too close, what in the hell your problem is? How it is that that guy who owns that truck has anything to do with your sorry ass life? I'll wait as long as you don't get too close to me, because damn, they don't even know. I mean, we're surrounded. I mean, absolutely surrounded by a legion of zombies who don't have any idea. And then you could also ask them, would you be okay if you gave me your wallet and I took money out of it? What for? Well, I gotta tell you, I'm just gonna take the money in your wallet and hand it back to you. Well, that's what they're doing to us. That's what they're doing to all of us. You guys who are protesting should be on our side. You should be saying the same thing. Oh, no, we can't do this as a country. But you're pissed off because, I don't know.
Young folks of us have gotten email threats from reporters and the public alike. I think, speaking for myself, I dropped out of Harvard and came here to serve my country. And it's been unfortunate to see, lost friendships. Most of campus hates me now. But I think fundamentally, I hope people realize through conversations like this that reform is genuinely needed. And if there's one, I think this is important to say, if there's one group of people who really have a shot of success, it's the people here. They're up until 2 a.m., Monday through Sunday. DOGE does not recognize weekends. We're working all the time.
What inspired you to drop out of Harvard to do this?
There's a lot of reform that's needed. I think the value of this and the impact here is so much more vast than anything you could learn in a classroom doing computer science.
Oh man, these kids are brilliant and they're patriots. Brilliant patriots are who these people are trying to kill. This kid dropped out of Harvard, good for him. And he's doing something extremely virtuous for the entire country. Not himself, not one or two people, for the entire country. And he's getting death threats. And he's working 7 days a week from sun up to sundown or sun up to sun up again. Sleeping on a cot. Get back in there. And this is who America wants to denigrate.
And you guys are sleeping here, I'm hearing. You guys are up all night. You have this meeting at 10 o'clock every Wednesday?
We'll probably go back to work right after this.
Yeah.
You're going back to work after this?
Yes.
Right.
It's almost 11 o'clock.
So that's early. That's early.
It's early? Can I go to bed? It's an incredible work ethic. You guys should be really, really proud of yourself. Do good people come up to you and say thank you for doing what you're doing?
Absolutely. There are people in the State Department that will stop you, or all of the agencies that we've been to, that'll stop you in the hallways or write emails and say, I was scared to write this, or I don't know if you're interested in this. But they usually have great ideas. And if they often have the best ideas because they've worked in the places and they've been stifled by the bureaucracy for so many years. So one of the great things that, at least in my experience, and we listen to them and empower them.
So yes, in fact, I'd like to emphasize that because we'd like to just give a big thank you to all the government employees who are helping reduce the waste and fraud, because this is, we really couldn't do it without you. So
it's a group effort.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not trying to sort of say all government employees are bad. That's absolutely not the case. It's just that, there actually just does need to be a serious effort to reduce the waste and fraud. And we're just making that happen. And a lot of people in the government are very glad to see it happen.
I think it's really important to recognize every single person around this table that's embedded within an agency is supporting that agency, whether they're working on systems or working through people. We are encountering droves of government employees who are missionaries, not mercenaries, who are actually here serving because they believe in what they're doing and they want to do things well. We are trying to empower them, and they feel empowered now to ask the question of why? Why aren't we doing this? What else can we be doing? How can we fix this? And I think agency by agency, it is filled with exceptional government employees, right? And when we give them the tools, when we give them the systems, and we leave behind systems to help them do their jobs better, that's the permanent change, right? And they're embracing that, not because it's new to them, it's because it's something they've always wanted to do. But for the first time ever, we're giving them the tools and the collaboration to be able to do that.
It's a very important message. Yeah. That message needs to get out a lot more. I'm so glad you said that.
We have exceptional people at all of our agencies. Exceptional. I mean, they do a thankless job and they work incredibly hard.
I love to hear how collaborative it is with these people in these agencies, and it's not all conflict. Sometimes in the media you always hear about conflict, and you guys are considered these ruthless suits that come in and scare people, but it's
conflict is the exception. There is conflict, but that is the exception. It's actually true of history in general. People study the wars a lot, but actually most of the time there wasn't war.
When you look at that and you see that table, almost like King Arthur in the Knights of the Round Table, there's 22 people sitting there. So you're telling me right now there are basically 22 people trying to save America. Now I understand the cabinet. You got President Trump and his cabinet, but they're doing their own different things. But you've got 22 people who are working throughout the entirety of our government trying to fix this. 22. Again, you got 100 senators. You have 400 people in the House. That's 500 government elected people. 500. Plus their staff, everyone they may have, who knows, 10 people on staff in each one of these representatives. They've got offices. So you're talking probably close to 1,000 people who work in the elected version of our government. And they've been there, different ones, been there for 10, 15, 20, 30 years. But that same structure of Senate and House has been there forever. And it took till 2025 for 22 people to show up and start asking questions for all of this to happen. None of the Congress people, none of the senators have even thought to themselves, you know what? Should we start looking at what's going on here? And one of the things that Elon struck me is the fraud starts small. Hey, let's see. Hey, can I get a flight to Bora Bora? Yeah. Can I get a suite, at the St. Regis or something? Can I fly first class? Yeah. And after you ask 4 or 5 times and nobody questions you, yeah. Can I get $1 million to throw a party in the stadium? Oh yeah, here, boom. Can I get another $1 million for, we're going to have a party over here? Yeah. It's over. Once people realize, it's sort of like having a little kid. And the kid does some stuff, and he does some really bad stuff. And you don't spank that kid or discipline that kid, depending on how you do it. They're going to keep doing it. They're going to keep doing it to see, no matter who the child is, no matter who the parents are, they're going to keep trying, what can I get away with? We don't have, Ashley's older, we don't have children that age here, but Robin went and got a new puppy. And I'm like, what is going on with this dog? This dog is getting crazy at night because she wants to see how far she could go. Until someone goes, that's it, that's enough, spank the butt, go sit in the corner. But they're going to keep doing it. If no one stops them, they're going to do whatever they want. When you get a new animal, you have to puppy train it, or house train it rather. Otherwise, they're going to poop all over your house. Well, right now, you've got thousands of people in thousands of departments that are pooping all over America, and nobody's even stopping. They just take what they want. Can you imagine sitting at a desk somewhere and go, you know what, for lunch? What do you want for lunch? How about a filet? No, and not just any filet. Can I order some Wagyu? Some Kobe beef? Bring that over here. Just, yeah. And make sure you bring over some truffles and all this kind of stuff. And I don't care because I'm just... Nobody's ever going to check. Nobody's ever going to check. Oh, we're running low. Oh, we need to tax these people some more. And so you pay it. I don't know if you guys saw in the news that the United Nations is getting worried because they don't have any money. What do you mean you don't have any money? Oh, because America pulled back and you don't have any cash. You're seeing it over and over and over, which is why I believe some of these judges and people are freaking out because they know some of their bread was buttered with this stuff. I can't imagine the amount of kickbacks we've seen. It's just incredible. It's sad, and then you have to sit back and realize nothing that we know of is being done. And so my question to you is, how long are you going to wait? Now that Elon has exposed all this, and you see it. What? All right, wait till your mom gets home. So mom better be coming home real soon. Real soon. Whoever is mom in this scenario better be coming in with a big, thick leather belt. Real soon. And these people in these offices better be afraid that mom's coming home. Because I couldn't imagine sitting in this office every day going, oh, they might find out what I stole. I'd have to quit and leave. They ain't going to help you. They're going to be able to find you and track you down. But at least now I'd be finding out if I could find some non-extradition countries or something where I can go, especially if you've parked $1 million or so off in an offshore account. But damn, what have you done to America? I can't even believe it. We deserve to have righteous anger at the government. You're absolutely right. Another plane crash in California. Yeah, I can see that. Barry, I agree with you. These leftist judges are corrupt and their hands are dirty with stolen taxpayer money. Absolutely. Abolish the UN. I don't care if they abolish it or not. We just shouldn't be there. Yes, Lisa, my mom is Pam Bondi. Exactly. Yours truly, yes, all DOGE can do is expose. And so the whole thing with exposing, yes, I know my battery light is on, Bama. Thank you very much. I can see it there. Don't know why. Not going to stop and try to figure it out. I'm an hour and 15 minutes, so I don't know, why it's doing that. All American taxpayers should demand to get their money back in their account. Really started in the JFK years, where JFK was involved with the mob along with Frank Sinatra. I don't know about that. Just got here. Has anyone mentioned your battery is flashing? Yes. That's sick. Let's see here. If something is leaked again, it might throw things off. I'm not sure. Barry, it's sad that American people have been so complacent and stupid. Some. Let's start putting qualifiers on that, because you had your eyes open, I got my eyes open, but we don't have any power to fix this stuff. We're sitting back going, this is horrible. Can somebody do something? It's awful. And I just wanted, I know many people had seen that thing with Jesse, but there were some points as I had watched it and went, everybody realizing this, especially the stadium stuff. That's crazy. All right, I'll be back in 90 seconds and we'll get to the next part.
Back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, so I told you guys before the first attempt of today's show failed that there was something major coming. I mean, it's extremely major. I've done a deal, and I want to tell you about it so it doesn't get sprung on you. But many of you who have watched our videos have enjoyed the after party here. And the after party and what it's been, indicating it's changing. I'm going to test it today to make sure everything works okay. But the after party is after the show has been done, I will put on, I'll sign off and I would put on some music. Many of you have seen it. It looks like, where is it? You guys have seen this before. It looks like this. Okay. Wait a minute. All right, so I've played that probably for 2 months now, and it's after the show, and people had asked me, hey, Barry, can you do something? We don't feel like signing off from the show. We like talking to each other. We like to recap what you said, give our, just speak to each other. And I was never really much of a part of it. And once I'm done with the show, I would put the after party on, and then I would, go hug the dogs and kiss the wife and grab something to eat, and then come back 30 minutes later and then sign off. Well, today I'm testing something different because starting Monday, actually starts today with the test, what's going to happen when I'm done with my portion of the show, it's going to ask you to go to a redirect and go to Rumble for the after show. Like I said, many of you guys are probably, not many, but some of you are like, I don't want to be clicking buttons and going over. Well, this is a thing I've done with Rumble, and they've asked me to be involved with them, and they've been very, very, very good to our team here. It's going to allow me to continue to grow the channel. I'm never stopping YouTube. I'm not doing like some of these other people and abandoning YouTube. It's just at the end of the show, instead of the normal after party, we're going to jump over to Rumble, and it's going to be a different kind of after party. And I'm telling you right now, you're going to like it. You're going to like it. So what's going to happen is, when I'm ready to almost do the jump, I'm going to put something on screen. There's going to be a link. SV and the mods, I hope you guys will push it in the chat and tell people start heading over, because we got about 30 seconds and we're going to pop over there. And so it's coming. I don't know how long it's going to take me to go through this stuff, but it's coming. So I'll put up the link in a little while, but we got stuff to talk about first, so we're not going anywhere. Let's get with this right here.
Here's the big finish. 10 stories that you just gotta hear. Number 10.
If you had to do it all over again, would you vote for Donald Trump again, yes or no?
Yes, I would. Now, in the future, I am not a diehard Democrat or diehard Republican. If there were a Democratic candidate who was more aligned for me, then I would vote Democrat.
If you go back in time, would you vote for Donald Trump, yes or no?
Yes.
I think I might know the answer on this next one.
He said yes. It's immediately yes. No, I'm sorry.
If you had to do it all over again, would you vote for Donald Trump, yes or no?
1,000% absolutely yes.
You know, CNN's finding out something. Number one, as you can tell, those were all black people. Number two, those were enthusiastic black people. Number three, it's growing. You couldn't tell it just from there, but the people I talk to and what I see online, it's actually growing, which is troublesome for the Democrats. It's freaking them out that President Trump is actually getting stronger, much stronger. Their polls don't work anymore. The BS that they've been doing isn't working. Why? Because people have actual lives. They have real lives. Let me tell you about another life experience. So yesterday, Robin and I get in the car. The driver takes us down to Miami Airport. We meet Ashley there. And as we're driving down to the airport, and we're you know, Robin and I are in the back seat, and we're looking over, it's packed. Absolutely packed. And then we get down to the Hard Rock football stadium, because you drive right by the Hard Rock to get to the airport. I forgot it was F1 weekend. F1, you know, the racers. And it's just loud as you could believe, just screaming loud. And one of the tracks goes over the head, and they put all the grounds around the football stadium, and he built an F1 track around it. And the driver turns to us and goes, "You know about what they're doing there?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's an F1. I forget it was this weekend." He goes, "But are you understand what's going on this weekend down here?" I'm like, "No." He goes, "Everything is packed. People have flown in from all over the world for this race. Everything is packed." And I'm like, "Wow." I'm like, "We should probably go to that, Rob." And it's over tomorrow, and we have other plans, which I'll tell you about. And it's minimum a couple grand for a ticket. To get into the good seats, like the box seats, like $8,000 for a pass and up. And it's packed. Absolutely mob scene. Cars going all around. And then when you get to the restaurants and you see Spanish people and you see black people, and you realize everything is going well. There's nobody standing around going, "Oh, woe is me." "Oh, this sucks." No. People are living lives and they're happy. And if you've ever seen an F1 track, it looks like it goes through streets. They built it all around the whole football stadium. And what was very interesting is he said, that, I looked it up to make sure, the owner of the Miami Dolphins makes more money from F1 than all of the Miami Dolphins home games combined. And I'm looking at the traffic down here, and I'm like, "Oh man, this place is packed." Even the side roads were packed. If you had to go someplace, good thing we left like an hour and a half in advance, because we'd have never gotten there. You get in the airport, mobbed. So I'd love to know, where are all these places where supposedly the economy is so bad? Because every demographic known to man was out spending money yesterday. So tomorrow, we're headed down to Fort Lauderdale. Fort Lauderdale tomorrow has an air show. So the Blue Angels are going to be flying around. And that's another event that's going to draw like 500,000 people. It's crazy down here. And I get people who comment to me like, "Oh, it's not, we're supposed to believe you." Watch television. Tell me what happened at the F1. Or even this, tell me right now, because right now it's probably running as we speak. The Kentucky Derby is running right now. And it's been on television for hours. Everyone in their big hats drinking mint juleps, and it's packed. Wow. Suck the economy, huh? Yeah, sure. Sorry, Van.
Number 9.
Crossings at the U.S.-Mexico border stayed at historically low levels last month. This is according to preliminary data reviewed by CBS News. In April, Border Patrol made 8,400 migrant apprehensions, which is actually up slightly from March. But this is why the numbers are significant. Border Patrol public data only goes back as far as the year 2000. But if you look at historical agency figures, the last time the U.S. averaged fewer than 9,000 monthly apprehensions was in the late 1960s.
I'm sorry. Did you say 60 years? We haven't seen this low of border crossings in 60 years, and you got people on television saying it's not working? You have to be a functional idiot to be listening to these people in liberal media. I mean, the jobs market, you just have to be nuts.
Number 8.
You know, you grew up in South Africa. You lived during a period of apartheid. I'm sure you've seen a lot of horrific things. So to be called a Nazi by people, to be made out to be this monster, that must be really hard for you.
Well, I mean, look, it's a relentless propaganda campaign, which obviously President Trump has experienced for a very long time, 20 years, maybe longer. And politics is a blood sport. So they're going to come up with whatever attacks they can to destroy the public perception of someone. Now, obviously, I've not harmed anyone in my life. I'm not. So it's an outrageous thing to claim that I'm a Nazi, because the issue with Nazis was not their mannerisms or their choice of dress, but the fact that they killed millions of people. That's the issue. They've also called President Trump a Nazi, and I think there was one publication that said he's worse than President Trump is worse than Hitler, Stalin, and maybe Mao combined. And I'm like, but he also is not a violent person, and in fact has done a lot to prevent wars and stop wars. Which is the very opposite of being a Nazi, actually.
Right. Ironic how that works out.
Yes, but it is disappointing how well propaganda works.
Yeah.
If you repeat a lie, the sort of he's a Nazi lie enough times, some people actually believe it. Especially people that still believe the legacy news. So if they still think that what CNN says, with the exception of Scott Jennings, is true, then they called me a Nazi on CNN. So if someone believes CNN, then they would say, "Oh, he must be that's a Nazi." That's because they said it on TV. The person on the TV said it. But they really are trying every angle to get me. So they would for sure try, if they could press a button and kill me in reality, they would press that button immediately. Wow. But since I'm a little difficult to kill, they are doing character assassination instead.
Could you imagine living a life knowing that lots and lots of people, they don't just like you, that a lot of people would love to take you out? And you have to live with that every single day. And then you have to realize that you're, 10, 11, 12 kids. They're all targets. Just like President Trump. Everyone around him has been a target. And then you sit back and say, why are they targets? I'm not talking about the nuts who have been whipped up into a frenzy. I'm talking about the people behind the scenes who are whipping these nuts into a frenzy. They know exactly what they're doing. See, we can't see who these people are that are pulling the string, but I literally try to talk to people and say, what is wrong? How are you so upset? what has this man or this man done to you? I saw this one video today, and I'm like, some of this stuff has to be fake. The people can't be this stupid. There was a woman, and she was complaining because Trump rolled back some regulation that says banks can now charge fees on overdrafts. And she was blaming President Trump because the banks have been charging her for overdrafts, and now she's, in the negative a lot, and blah, 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 blah. And she's talking, and people when they comment, like, who wants to tell her? That's your fault. You got used to writing checks that your butt can't cash. And President Trump's to blame because you're writing the checks. And they're blaming, when you hear, that was one that I heard and went, oh man, what's wrong with people? This is you. You're mad because you can't write bad checks. Think about that for a second. How far gone are we on a society with everything with the baby removals and everything else, that people are now pissed off because they can't write bad checks? And that's Trump's fault. We got serious problems.
For 7.
Information now on one of the leading Democratic candidates for governor here in Michigan. Sri Tanadar is responding to new reports regarding a company he owned 8 years ago that's now bankrupt. The allegations involve mistreatment of 170 dogs.
In case you guys don't know who this is the dude that wants to impeach President Trump. And now stuff's coming out about him, and he should just go sneak back under his desk.
Monkeys used for testing of new drugs. The company Anaclin Preclinical Services used the animals to test drugs prior to FDA approval. Tanadar told 7 Action News last week that the testing was for side effects and that the animals would get higher blood pressure and some rash. Tanadar says the animals were not abandoned. He says they were fed and cared for by staff. But he also claims his attorneys went to court with a motion to have those animals sold as assets to lower his company's debt. Tanadar told 7 Action News investigator Jim Kurtzner today that his attorneys filed a motion to make a point and that the motion was withdrawn a short time later. Asked why he didn't mention this during his interview last week, Tanadar responded, "It was not at the top of my mind." He also says opponents are using this issue as a smear campaign in the race for Michigan governor.
Number.
Those people are such utter scumbags. They don't care about human life. They don't care about animal life. All they care about is the grift. All they care about is money. And just so you know, some of the things that have been so very tough for me working with YouTube that I won't have to worry about with Rumble. I had to write down like the timestamp of that video because I'm going to have to go and edit out the puppies. Because certain people's nipples will get sore, and oh my God, you can't put that stuff on the air. Trust me, I know. I've had. Where's my pad? I just wrote it down. I wrote it down, even a timestamp right there, so I know. Go back in and cut that out before somebody sees it. So yeah, it's crazy.
6.
I think he's amazing.
Neighbors Catherine Desatel and Ron Dundor now bond over their shared love for Trump. Ron didn't vote for him in the last election, but now he wishes he had.
I've been very pleasantly surprised with what he's doing for the country. I think he's got a really good cabinet in there this time.
Being from California and Arizona, I dealt with the immigration crisis and saw how it affected our daily lives. I believe he's a man of his word. Mm-hmm. And I really like that because I had given up on politics.
Imagine that. Imagine people from California moving to wherever they moved to and going, oh my gosh, I live in America again. And that's what's happened. I've seen some people move here. Like, you guys can, like, do this stuff? Yeah, we can go where we want. It was funny, I saw somebody in the chat saying, hey, it sucks down here. It's really bad. Just to stop people from coming. Because that's the look on their faces when they get here. Even when it was back during the jab-a-demic, people were like, you can walk around? Yeah, we're all walking around. You can go to a restaurant? Yeah, we can go to a restaurant. Yeah, we can do all that. We don't know what the hell you guys are doing in California. Yeah, it makes no sense. The trains run down here. The buses run. The Ubers and the taxis run. The limos run. You don't have trains to nowhere, like you do in California. Your gas is how much? Yeah, we saw gas yesterday at $2.80 here, which is awesome in South Florida. $2.80 was gas. And people are telling us in California they're still paying $4.50, $5 a gallon. It's insane.
Built in a day, and this is not going to be fixed overnight.
We found Trump voter Lisa Jimenez catching up with a friend over lunch. She told us good policy requires patience, too.
People are starting now to say, okay, we're going in the right direction. If these jobs are not here, what happens when everything that we have is outsourced? And that is exactly what has been going on for decades. He's looking to bring it back. If President Trump is watching this, I love you dearly.
Number 5.
You may have seen some clips of Jack Posobiec getting roughed up at a Jamie Raskin event where Raskin was talking to some union guys.
So in case you don't know what Scott here is talking about, this is Scott Adams. Jack, I thought it was Posobiec. However you pronounce his name. He went to a rally, and Jamie Raskin it was a union event. He was talking at the rally and just asked Jamie a question. Blah, 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 raised his hand, and he got attacked. Physically attacked. These people are rabid dogs. And the worst part about it was Jamie Raskin was standing there. Never said, hey, can you guys stop that? Don't do this. He just stood there and let the dogs out. Let them go ahead and attack him. That's how you know they want this to happen. They really, really, really want to get these people frothing at the mouth and have them attack people.
And Jack yelled out some things to Raskin at the end of Raskin's talk, and the union guys didn't like it because it was not exactly pro-Raskin, and they actually roughed him up. And I guess he's going to get law enforcement involved. I don't know how bad it was, but just based on the hard to determine video, they got physical right away. Now, does that ever happen in the other direction?
Nope.
If there had been a Trump event and somebody had yelled out something, because all he did was yell out something, do you think that the Trump supporters would have started roughing that person up? I don't think so. I mean, in 2015 or 16, there were some rallies where, there were some accusations that people were going to rough people up, but for the most part, it's not a thing. But the Democrats just immediately went to violence. And I think this is all part of the Hitler stuff. If you believe that the Trump people are all just Hitler supporters, then violence is called for. It would make sense if that's what you believed.
The one problem with that is when I hear people say the propaganda is working, that also means something else isn't working, which is an embarrassment for people like Randy Weingarten. If you can convince somebody that the President of the United States, Donald Trump, is like Hitler, if you can convince them that Elon Musk is a Nazi, then you never were taught what a Nazi really was. It completely was never part of your ability to understand what they stood for, what they did to people. So to me, there's always been two parts of that. Yes, the propaganda from the media, and then the lack of education from some of these people. They're just completely brain dead. Do you understand what this guy in Germany did in the 1940s? Do you understand how many people he executed? Do you understand what they were doing to acquire land and what they were doing to countries? And if you compared that to Donald Trump, how would you possibly say that Chairman Mao, Mussolini, and Hitler, Trump's worse than all of them combined? How? The only way you can say that is you're stupid. You were never taught. Because that means, actually, it means your insult doesn't mean anything because you know what the hell you're talking about. That's why they go to violence.
So if you look at the Carville and Raskin persuasion. You know, they're using Hitler's technique. That's why Jack Posobiec gets roughed up. I hope it wasn't too bad.
Number 4.
We're putting together this plan and executing on it day by day, week by week, and it doesn't all happen at once, but the first 100 days set the table for the successes that we're going to see in the next 100.
See, there's two people in the Trump administration that I listen to a lot. I will listen to every single word that Scott Bessent says, never miss, and I will listen to every single word that Howard Lutnick says. I'm sorry, I like the idea of what they can bring to a portfolio, how you can increase your basis just by listening to these guys. And he's saying something right now a lot of people overlook. If you saw what happened in the first 100 days, everything you've seen is just to set the stage, the foundation for the next 100 days. I'm like, okay, I'm down with that. I hope you're down with that.
We've got, I can't remember, the number keeps going up every day, whether it's 6, 7, we might be up to 8 trillion of companies, sovereign funds that want to come to the U.S., businesses that want to reshore. But the important thing, none of these trade deals are going to get done unless they're fair. And as the other countries come to us, I look at these deals, and some of them are very good deals, and I couldn't agree more with President Trump. I'm not mad at the tariffs and the barriers and the currency manipulations that the other countries were doing. I just wonder how it went on for 4 or 5 decades without anyone who'd been behind the Resolute desk doing anything about it.
That's another thing they're pissed off. They did something about it. They looked the other way. They intentionally looked the other way. They wanted America on its knees, bent over, so that other countries could take advantage of us. That's why we're seeing, Canada, oh boy, I feel so bad for people in Canada. Yeah, I don't know how that guy got elected, but he's going to take Canada apart. He's talking about not letting people fly, and he's going to charge companies for climate change. Ugh. They're so screwed.
Number 3.
The pollsters have Donald Trump down 4 or 5 points, but when you actually look at the Rasmussen poll or Mark Penn's poll, a Democratic centrist, Trump is almost even. And then when you look with greater clarity at the New York Times poll that has him way down, you see that only 37% of the people polled voted for Donald Trump. But Donald Trump won by almost 1.5 points. Don't you think it should have been, 51, 49%? So they were deliberately, in the case of the New York Times, under polling Trump supporters. The same was true.
Yeah, but see, that's what I was hoping that people who were watching my videos back during the campaign, I was hoping I educated people to the point of look behind the poll. They'll tell you the top line number, but they don't tell you how they got there. And Victor here is telling people it's rigged. It's completely rigged to try again to gaslight people. And I'm thinking to myself, everybody who saw what happened in the election, and you saw how the pollsters were once again exposed, why do we even listen to pollsters? Why pollsters, let me change the channel. It matters not at all. And one of the things we've always talked about way back during the campaign was, you ever been polled? Anyone ever call you? Not in my entire life. Not in Robin's entire life. I could go that with many people like, no, I've never been polled. Who in the hell are these people being polled?
The Washington Post, they polled over 2,000 people, but only 840 were identified as Trump voters. Shouldn't that have been half? So what am I getting at? We're getting right back to what happened in 2016 when the polls were completely wrong. The same thing happened in 2020 when they overestimated Biden's strength by 4 or 5 points. And then even in 2024, the NPR poll had, on the last day of the election, they had Kamala Harris winning by 4 points. The Des Moines Register had Iowa lost to Trump by 3 points. He won it by 12. So what the pollsters are doing, not that Trump hasn't lost some to the controversy over the trade wars, but the pollsters are trying to create momentum, fundraising, and jazz up opposition.
Somebody actually put it out here. Where is it? It went by so fast. Somebody said, why do you think they put out those bad polls? He just said it. He just said it. It's all tied to money. Money, 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 money. Because if I can make it look a certain way, then you'll get behind and they'll throw some more money your way because you might have a chance and this person looks like they're only 1 point behind, and if they had some more money, they'd be there. It's all about money. And they're lying. You'd think by now, too, that investors or donators would understand it as well.
Represent, obviously, the mighty attorneys general. All 18 of us have filed this lawsuit challenging the Department.
So this is Big Letty, and she's talking about, with all her problems that are circulating, she's talking about how she's going to basically sue Trump again. And from my home state, this nut job, I don't know where they find these people, but now they're going to look to sue Trump again and have some sort of class action suit, and everybody can file a lawsuit. That just never ends. Never.
Treasury, because they've gained access to the private information of countless Americans, millions of Americans, their private information, their social security numbers.
Here's a question I've asked since all this stuff has been happening about the private information, and it was a very simple question that you can ask any of your liberal friends. If you're mad at Big Balls and those guys and Elon have had access to all this information, who had it before them? See, it sounds nice. You know, they've got access to all. Who had it before them? Who else has had access? It wasn't like it was just sitting there. All these, different people who were unelected had access. And if the Democrats were in power, they'd still have access to all of your information. Didn't seem to have a problem then.
It's the biggest data breach in American history.
It's a hostile takeover of our government.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. And who elected him? Could you tell me?
Nobody.
Nobody elected him. Has he been subject to any conflicts of interest?
Conflicts of interest? What about confirmation by the Senate?
None whatsoever.
None of that.
And who has power of the purse? It's Congress. And so this is like unprecedented violation of the separation of powers. And that's why we are here to enforce the law.
Federal court, right
Federal
here.
court, exactly.
And you can say it to people and they would not know. Hey, well, who was run it before? Because every single agency in government is being run by someone who wasn't elected. Senators get elected. Congress people get elected. Secretary of Defense wasn't elected, was approved by the Senate, but wasn't elected. So what in the heck are we talking about? This is another psyop against the American people, trying them to get them to believe that something is nefarious here. This has never happened before. There's people with access to information who haven't been elected. And very simply, you could say, well, prior to 2025, has that ever happened? Has anyone ever had access to Social Security numbers and people's information who weren't elected? Anybody? Probably for like the last 60 years. Probably for the last 60 years. Absolutely, absolutely insane. So this last clip here that I'm going to play, and before we do the flip over, hope you guys will join me. I'll give you some time to do that as well. To me, it illustrates the big problem with Democrats. They know full well they're lying. You know they're lying. They know that you know they're lying. But the morons they're talking to suck it up and don't realize that they're being gaslit. Listen to what this moron says here.
Who would be doing a better job as president? Guess who?
Oop, not this one. I'm sorry, I skipped ahead. I forgot I have a bonus clip. This one's another pollster, which you check out Harry here.
Down on top, within the margin of error, but comes on top. This looks a lot like the election result, right? Trump 45%, 2 points ahead of Harris at 43%. 12% say they'd be doing about the same. But this is the key nugget here. It's not just about regretting that vote. It's literally saying who would be doing the better job right now. And Trump continues to score a higher percentage of the vote than Kamala Harris. This looks a heck of a lot like the election result we have just seen.
All right, so again, as I've told you many times, look for the source. And very itty-bitty writing on the bottom there, it says, what? A CNN poll conducted by SSRS. And he doesn't show you any of the data behind it. And that's what Victor was saying earlier. They oversample the wrong people to make it appear as such, that it's only a 2-point thing. She's got a chance. They're starting it now. There's 3.5, almost 3.75 years before anything ever happens, and the bumbling, stumbling, cackling idiot that she is, and she goes out and does her dancing videos and says some stupid stuff in a speech, and you're trying to tell people that 40% of the people out here still would vote for her. Trump's winning right now, but 40% of the people out there would want her. Are you somehow polling people in insane asylums, if we still have them? Who in the hell would want to vote for Kamala Harris? Ugh.
Listen, poll after poll after poll. Despite the fact that Trump's favorable ratings aren't too hot to trot, when he's matched up against who he was matched up in 2024, he still, across the polls, scores a higher percentage than Kamala Harris does.
Even if they don't know exactly what she would have done, they still went for Donald Trump. Okay, what about when he's matched up against congressional Democrats who we know have had some pretty rough numbers?
Yeah, they have had some pretty rough numbers. So Kamala Harris obviously doesn't hold elected office right now, but Democrats in Congress sure do. So who do you trust more on the U.S. main problems, the main problems in the United States? Well, what do we have here? It's the same exact picture, folks. It's the same exact picture. When you match Donald Trump against his actual competition, Donald Trump comes out ahead. Look at this. 40% to congressional Democrats, 32%. Going to make a big circle here. But the bottom line is, when you look at Donald Trump in a vacuum, it's one thing. But when you actually match him up against folks in the real world, all of a sudden his numbers look considerably better. And when you match him up against his main competition at this point, Democrats in Congress, he is more trusted on the main problems facing the United States right now. In fact, it's not even close. It's an 8-point advantage, which in this politics, well, that's a wide ocean.
It's huge, and maybe tells the Democrats that their messaging is not working at this point in time. All right, speaking of the big issues, which party is better trusted when it comes to things like the economy and immigration still?
Right. Okay. So we kind of talk about it a little bit up here when we match up Donald Trump against the Democrats in Congress. But what about the parties up against each other, right? Donald Trump has not seen those favorable polls when it comes to the economy, when it comes to immigration. But look here, which party has a better plan? And this is the margin among registered voters. Look at this on immigration. The GOP crushes the Democrats. Look at that. That's a 19.
So why do you think they're putting these numbers out? Why do you think they put out the numbers that she was only 2 points behind President Trump, but the congressional Democrats and other stuff, the Democrats are getting crushed? Well, the reason why they're doing this is because they're trying to prop up Kamala Harris. Hey, look, you see, regular Democrats right now, people in the House or in the Senate, you're getting crushed. You suck. So we're gonna need Kamala to come in here and ride in on a horse and be the prime candidate. Good luck with that.
19-point edge. My goodness gracious, you rarely ever see leads like that in politics these days. How about on the economy, where Donald Trump's numbers have been struggling a little bit? But even there, Republicans hold a 9-point lead. If Democrats think that at this particular point, just because Donald Trump is unpopular, that they're going to run away with it like a Heisman Trophy winner, that is not necessarily the case. These numbers should be a major wake-up call for Democrats. Despite Donald Trump's unpopularity in the polls, when you actually go up against him and you put Democrats' names against him, when you put Republicans as a whole up against him, Republicans and Donald Trump do considerably better. And that is why Democrats, in fact, cannot count their chickens just yet, because those eggs have not cracked at this particular moment.
I think you said the pivotal thing, the important thing, which is Democrats are not going to be running away with anything. They have to start thinking about what their message is going forward.
That's exactly right, because at this point, the Democratic message ain't selling a thing.
All right.
Well, maybe that message should be, and they should continue to going to El Salvador and talking about the Maryland man. Because, you know, that's a winning message right now. That's, you know, all of you should get behind that Maryland man and everything that he's been doing and the rest of them. That's how you win. They're trying to set Kamala Harris up. They're trying to get her to the point where she can be viable. And she's not. She's not viable. They're twisting all kinds of numbers to let the other Democrats know, get away. This is her. This is the coronation of the next queen. She's going to take the Hillary Clinton route. And they're going to do it all over again. They're going to, I mean, I don't know if you saw her speeches, but I'm like, oh my God, she didn't learn anything. Out there, you know, doing her dances and stuff, and she makes no sense when she talks. Nothing. You're going to try it again, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, now, the other video, this last video, which I had prefaced before, was, again, the gaslighting. Let me just get to it.
Trump administration, they like to say, and this is what Trump ran on, right? He said, we're only going to go after the quote-unquote criminals. Yeah, exactly. We're only going to go after the quote-unquote criminals. However, their position is that everyone undocumented is a criminal.
This is an elected person in Congress. Their position, notice the words she said to the people in the audience. Their position is that everyone undocumented is a criminal. How is it not your position? I think what you're realizing right now, let me let her finish.
That's what they think. They think that the DACA recipient, that the baby that was here from 2 years old, whose only country they have ever known is the United States, that maybe have served in this country or now is a doctor, is a quote unquote criminal. They think that folks who are undocumented are that. But on top of that, they're not even just going after undocumented people. They are making people undocumented by revoking legal status.
All right, so what I'm going to be talking about after I do the flip over is something I can't talk about openly here. So I want you to continue to watch as we do the flip over, because I'm going to answer what she just said, and I'm going to answer it in words I can't possibly say on YouTube. So I want you, once I post it, to actually, that's how bad it is. That's how bad it is. She's talking to these people. That's Hitlerian. That's like Mussolini. That's like all the communists. Just say they are saying this. No, your laws say this. The laws that you are supposedly elected under. That's how this stuff happens. It's not me. It's not people in the chat here. None of it. None of that. It's the laws that say people shouldn't be here if they came through. And the attack, and they were very, very good at it. And they got people like these people here to understand, let's change the vocabulary. If we change the vocabulary and insist that you can never use the real words, then people who are younger growing up will never hear those real words. And you guys know what I'm talking about. There's no such thing as an undocumented person. That was made up to gaslight and put people through an MK Ultra program. What the hell's an undocumented person? No, you made that up because now it's working. Now they've got it to a point where we can't even say the real words. We say the real words, we are shunned. We're not allowed to do certain things. They've changed our language. And so when we go to the Rumble, redirect, you're going to hear some of those things that I can actually say. That's one of the reasons why I decided to do this. But before I do that, let me talk to you guys about Patriot Addict. And let's run this. This is about the new berry pack. Some of you guys are really into this. Let me get the blanket ready so I don't waste anybody's time. Oh, I dropped my shorts over there. And then I got the knife. Oh, I know what I was supposed to do. Again, I've been using this guy's video. I hope he's not mad at me. Hope he's not going to call me and say, stop using my video. But this is just awesome. Let me just go ahead and play this.
Fanfare family. I'm B. Michael Nace, one of the members of Barry Cunningham's channel. One of the things Barry advertises on his channel is the Trump knife. But Barry doesn't really get so much justice because Barry apparently is not the knife guy that I am. I've got thousands of knives around my house. But this knife is really awesome. One, check this out. This is a power-assisted folding knife with a liner lock. A glass breaker at the tip. The liner lock in the middle. So it won't close on you until you push the liner lock in the middle. Push it and it will fold. This knife is actually quite awesome. And I'm a knife collector. I've been collecting knives for 30 years. This is an amazing knife. And you can get it BarryKnife.com, Barry Cunningham. He can tell you how to get it. I want you to push it to his channel, fanfare.com. This knife is amazing. It's sharp. It's heavy duty. As a matter of fact, it's almost too heavy to carry in the pocket. You'd have to put it on your belt or whatever, but it's a heavy duty knife and it's really nice. So Barry, to you, one of your family members, B. Michael Nace from Fanfare, amazing knife.
I unsolicited, and he sent me that. I think Tommy had sent me one before, but I lost it in my email because I get so many emails. So thank you very much for that. So what he's talking about is this is the red knife, and the people from Patriot Addict who are being so good to me are back with a brand new Trump collector's bundle for you called the Berry Pack. This Berry Pack is the ultimate Trump collection. Hold on, I got to change hats here. It features the Trump sequel hat. Let me go to the Trump sequel hat. There it is. I put it on. There it is. Trump sequel hat. You get the hat. You get this. You get the knife as part of the Berry Pack. You get the Trump watch, which I haven't received yet, but I will have soon. So you get the knife. You get the hat. You get the watch. And in addition to all of that, you also get the Trump blanket. And let me turn it around. Here it is on my lap. Boom. Trump blankie. The Trump blankie. Very nice. Very warm. Pretty big. You guys know I'm a big guy. And you can see my arm length is 6 feet. So that's a pretty big blanket. All of this you can get with no shipping charges. No shipping charges whatsoever. You don't pay any hidden fees, no subscription. All these things, all four of these items would normally cost $238, but they're practically giving it away to the Fanfare family for just $69. But I have to tell you, it's already gone up once from $59, and they are selling them like hotcakes. There may not be many left. So if you want that package, I want you to take action right now. Let me just make sure that I've got the QR code on the screen. They set aside just 500 packs for Fanfare, and they're already down to the last few, and that's not a sales pitch. And I can't guarantee this collection will ever be available again because they're basically giving it away. So scan the QR code right now or visit BarryPack.com to claim yours before they disappear forever. That's BarryPack.com or scan the QR code right now. The QR code's right here. And again, I love it myself here this night. So we're at the point now where it's time to make the changeover. And let me just tell you what I'm doing. Normally at this point right here, I would be signing off and I would be putting on the after party. And I thought to myself, with you guys at Rumble wanting me to do things, let me see if I can't put together a really, really fun after party. And afterwards, you guys can leave me messages and say, no, I didn't like that. I didn't like this. We didn't like the way that worked. You know, certain things like that. Hey, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I mean, I've signed a deal with them, and there's the link. So you're gonna want to go to fanfareshop.org/Rumble May 3rd, which is today, not 3rd, I'm sorry, Rumble May 3. That is the link that will get you to the after party. And what's going to happen, if you go there right now, you're seeing exactly what's happening here. There's no difference. So go to Rumble May 3 right now and be ready for this changeover. So what's going to happen is I'm going to play the break. Oh, before I do the break. I'm going to play the break. And during the break, just to let you know, we're going to start a new segment. It's the same video. Just get over there. Again, it's Rumble May 3. So let me play the break. And after the break, I'm not going anywhere. I'll still be talking, but we'll only be on Rumble. All right, so ready? Everybody ready? Any questions? Anybody? Let's go ahead and let's give this a shot.
Back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, so SB texted me and said, hey, before you go over there, you got to go ahead and acknowledge the super chats here. I'm like, oops. All right, so I'm going to acknowledge the super chats here, and then after we do the super chats, then we're going to jump. All right, everybody. So let me go ahead and acknowledge everybody who is, let me do refresh here. My bad. Like I said, I'm getting used to it. And and let me just make sure I got this right. All right, because I didn't want to jump and not acknowledge everybody. All right, so what I'll do is I'll run my X promotion. That way you'll have time to get over there. And here we go. And I'm telling you, some of you are gonna love it. Just letting you know, some of you guys are absolutely going to absolutely love it. Let me just get this straight. All right, so let me push this over here, and am I good? Hold on. I forgot to do this before we changed over. Hold on. Okay, why is this not getting it in the right place? As soon as it does, crap. Wait 1 second. I'm just trying to get everything lined up so I can talk to you guys about it. All right, let's do this now, okay? I got it. It's in the right place. I can see everything. Everybody can see it. And we now know what it is. And okay. All right. Sorry about that, everybody, but I had to get this window in the right place, and for some reason right now it's not playing well with me with what I'm trying to do. Let me go. If I go here, is it better? Yeah, this might be better. Yes. All right. So I had the wrong window. A lot of technical things going on today. So let's go ahead. Why is this? What's going on here? Come on, people. All right. Here we go. Ready. All right. So, boom. Am I at the top? It'd be nice to be at the top instead of at the bottom. Hold on. Man, trying to do these things. All right, here we go. It looks like I lost Tilly. That's what I'm trying to find. Tilly had put something at the top, but for some reason, it's not wanting to go all the way up there. So let me do it this way, because I don't want to. There it is. That's what I was looking for. Tilly. She was tops. All right. Say, Tilly, welcome back, Barry and Fanfare family. Thank you. Nancy, and again, Tilly, I didn't see you in the stream. Otherwise, I would have said something. Nancy J, for your greatness. Thank you. Rose Rahali, thank you for all that you do, Barry. Thank you. NJ Sound, thanks, Barry. You are my main news source. Oh, stick around. Got something for you. Tilly again, don't disrespect Barry. Us Fanfare family, love and respect. I don't know why people get mad. Shit happens. Job for 9. Barry, love music. These lyrics seem to fit. Dirty deeds done dirt cheap. Let me just give you a little hint. Once we change over, it's no longer YouTube, so things are going to be a bit different. In fact, you can change over right now. This is playing on Rumble. So if you want to do it now and jump, this is a good amount of time for you to do it. While I'm going through this, you can be jumping over. It's coming. You can see it. It's coming. And about as soon as I get done here. Let's see here. Job for 9. We elected POTUS to fix this crap. I pray that he does exactly that. We've got one shot to get this right. Let's roll. I'm with you. Mountain Goddess. I'm angry about the stealing. I can't wait. OMG Keith to drop his huge story. He's in hiding. Pray for him. If anything happens to him, Alex Jones will activate the dead man switch. Jeanette, I can tell you why the politicians, the mainstream media, and anyone else you can think of is getting a piece of the pie, for sure. I believe that. KRO, brother, thank you. Or ma'am. Barry, you ease the pain of hearing this stuff because I'm hearing it among the family. Thank you. Brian Garrity, hey Barry, when Jesus asked Elon what agency gave him the most fight when they came in, he made the joke, and who did he say? Institute of Peace. Dave Rattan, United Way, UNICEF, and others only give 5 to 10% of the money goes to where it's supposed to be. Look up how much the Clinton Foundation gave. They completely screwed people over. Samaritan's Purse, on the other hand, passes on most 95%. Exactly. S. Berg, let me just keep doing it. Thank you very much. Tom Starkey, we got it. Juan Cerda, 1973, National Personnel Record Center in St. Louis that maintains military, retiree, and separated members' records burned. 16 to 18 million official military personal files were not digitized and lost. What a shame. What a shame. Robert Husbands, the Dems left. Whatever you want to call them, they're terrorists. Edward Cole, I'm a 72-year-old black man. And I love what DOGE is doing. We've been ripped off long enough, and I will never understand anyone who objects to what they're doing. And Barry, I love your commentary. Wow, thank you very much, sir. Maximus, Barry, I had a homicide defendant had packed peanut butter in his trousers, who reached in and smearing himself to make the judge think he was a head case. Crypto King Freddy, battery flash, maybe faulty power supply. Nope, everything, obviously I'm still on, it was still blinking, so what I'm thinking was I need to do a full shutdown and then restart. So I think that's what it is. Mudlark, Barry, in just 2023, the U.S. alone added 500,000 new millionaires. Yeah, where'd they get the money? Dave Ratanigan, seems to be a big portion of the $1 million stadium parties is to remain anonymous, or am I just cynical? No, it shouldn't be anonymous. Claire Butterfield, why Rumble? All right, so just to make sure you know, I am not doing away with YouTube. I'm expanding my tent. That's the best way I can say it. I've been telling you about President Trump expanding his tent. I'm expanding my tent. And let me just tell you, when you get over to Rumble, and those of you who are there right now, you're going to see a completely different type of content. Completely different. So I think that question will answer itself in about a couple minutes here. Claire Butterfield, President Trump forever. Christina Mozart, being a former very active Democrat, I can attest to the evil. Problem with them is they think the evil is normal. That's because they recruit the same type of people. So I'm glad you got out of that. I did until I opened my eyes. I can't thank everyone here enough. Well, you don't thank us. The big man had you in his sights. In his time. Mr. Anderson, Kevin O'Leary is spot on. Tariffs, exactly. Shark Tank. Kelly Bradshaw, Barry, judges judge the law but do not follow it. No. And now we're finding out so much of our life. We've had people in authority telling us things that were complete crap. Hey, Donna, Big Tish's real estate is in public records. Yes, she can't hide it. Greg Yergin, the world is full of fools and the rest of us are in danger of contamination. Well said. Very well said. Steve James, if Kamala can't fascinate us with facts, she will baffle us with BS. Yep, spinster. Beverly Litton, I don't trust Waltz at all. It's imperative that saboteurs be kicked out. It's mind-boggling that Waltz is any position in cover and take his daughter with him. Crazy. Donna, again, using Kamala again is just doing the same thing over and again, experiencing different results. I thought we got rid of her cackling. No, it's too much money out there for her to go away. She's not going to go nowhere. She got to get paid. Neo, hi Barry, great show. Thanks for all you bring. Thank you. And Frankie M. Fan, Barry, please mention my sister in Africa looking to come home. The Fund Me page is in your X messages. Okay, I will check that. Thank you very much. All right, so that's where you need to go. So I'm going to play the invitation to X, the information about X, and then right after that plays, it'll be on on Rumble only. All right, so you got all the information here. It's been up on the screen for quite some time. Just go ahead. If you're there now, you'll see me there in a second. I can check and see how many of you jumped over there. Cool. We have like 3,700 people on Rumble. So I'm getting ready to switch over there. I'm telling you, you are going to enjoy it. You're going to enjoy it. So let me play this, and then the next thing you'll see is YouTube will go off, and then Rumble will start. I just want to say thank you to the Fanfare community. And if you're new here, I'd like to take a moment and welcome you. If you watch my videos, you've probably realized at this point that this isn't your usual podcast. The difference is that every single day, I try to make this show an open conversation amongst friends. You see, I believe that speaking to friends, here and in your own circle offline, is the best way to push back against all the lies being told by the Democrats and the media. I encourage people in this community to welcome each other, and in doing so become a source of support for those seeking to unplug from the matrix. If you'd like to communicate on a deeper level, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, but if you'd really like to surround yourself with like-minded patriots, join our free and private X group by going to fanfareshop.org/group. When you join this free group, a few things will happen. One, if you haven't used X before, you can use X without venturing into the sewer that it sometimes can be. Two, you can share content with friends that you meet here. 3, you will get notified every time